Hey soul siblings, it's Shay Seeking from American Aborigines Unchained here on YouTube and in the Facebook group. And yeah, so I've been sometimes I do like these random reads, right? But usually everything is correlating with what's going on in somewhat real time when it comes to information that I come across. So again, I have this book here. There's the first page of it right there on the screen. I think it's from like 1897. And I just picked it up and started reading. I thought this part was interesting. And again, I'm sharing this with you because, excuse me, we're reading out of that Bible that is older, but sometimes I like to read random things, like I said, that correlate with things that I feel should be said at this time. But they may be just books that are random that everybody wouldn't have around. So again, this is only one section, and I've had it for a while, but I've never really fully read through it. But we're going to go ahead and read this part. And it says the world's judgment of the ecclesiastical powers, right? So again, another thing that I'm doing is trying to bring voices and bring a different, aspect to even the female characters of our story, his story, her story, and the biblical text, and just looking a little bit deeper at just feminine energy in general, while we were reading about everything else. So it says the criticism of the ecclesiasticism is fully as severe as that of monarchy and aristocracy. I struggle with that word. For they are recognized as one in interest. And the words are very tiny in this book because it's a tiny book. Of these sentiments, the following will serve as illustrations. The North American Review some years ago contained a brief article by John Egerton Raymond on the decline in ecclesiasticism, describing the forces which are opposed to the church. Okay? Now again, the church, I always say, could be a body, a group, a something else other than what we see today. Again, as a whole, in a sense, and which will eventually accomplish its overthrow, he said. Now the words are going to get a lot smaller. The Christian church is in the midst of a great conflict. Never since the organization of Christianity have so many forces been arrayed against her. What's certain now, that's just because, again, that caught my attention, because even when we're talking about the origine women, or woman in general, it's almost like everybody wants to cast her out, to a sense, as if she matters not, right? And it says here that what certain theologians are pleased to call the world power was never stronger than it is today. No longer is the church opposed by the barbaric races, by superstitious philosophers, by priests of mystical or mythical religions, but by the highest culture, the deepest learning, and the profoundest wisdom of enlightened nations. All along the line of her progress, she is resisted by the world power, which represents the highest attainment and the best ideals of the human mind. Nor are all her opponents found beyond the pale. Within her solemn shade, robed in her vestments, voicing her commands, representing her to the world, stand many who are ready to cast off her authority and to dispute her supremacy. Multitudes who yet obey her decrees are beginning to question, and doubt is the first step towards disobedience and the desertion. The world will never know how many honest souls within the church groan in spirit and are troubled, yet keep a seal upon their lips and a chain upon their tongue for conscience sakes, lest they cause their brother to offend. They are silent, not for fear of rebuke, for the time has gone by when to speak freely was to suffer persecution. Like, I'm living, this is, you know what I'm saying? I just put a, I think I just put a post up about persecution of just being real and keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? It seems like that's what it is, you know? Okay. So it says, and when to suggest that the church might not be infallible was to be accused of infidelity. You see this stuff? Wow. You know, this is really like, look, this is deep, you know. It says, he says the demand is not for a new gospel, but for an old gospel with a new meaning. Everywhere the demand is more for a more literal and faithful proclamation of the precepts of the founder of Christianity. The Sermons on the Mount is too many of the epitome of divine philosophy. Preach it, cry reformers of every school, everywhere. Not only preach it, but exemplify it. Show us, they say, that your practices conform to these precepts, and we will believe you. Follow Christ, and we will follow you. But just here lies the controversy. The church professes to teach the precepts of Christ, to preach his gospel. Okay, I need to hurry up before this phone dies. Okay. Let's see. To preach his gospel, the world listens and replies, you have perverted the truth. And behold, the spectacle of an unbelieving world teaching a believing church that the true principles of her religion. This is one of the most striking and significant signs of age, and it is altogether new. The world has been familiar from the beginning with the retort, physician, heal thyself. Damn. Whoo. Because I was just struggling with something like this, just, while I was in my little thought process about growing up as someone who had been in situations more than once that had to kind of just like heal yourself, when no one else was there to make you stronger. And, these things mold us, the good and the bad that we've gone through in our life, mold us and prepare us for certain things that we'll come to, witness or go through in our lives, so it's something, you think about to be upset about it, but at the same time, thankful, thankful, because when all the chips are down and you're there by yourself fighting any battle, you have to know how to do that in case no one else comes. So, comes to your aid. So, it's something about stronger, right? So, or strengthening oneself,